Hello, and welcome to the Mothership. I am your commander, General LAK, as you well know. Or maybe you don't know, because this is the first time you've showed up. And that's cool. And if you're new here, welcome. Welcome. We're a pretty happy group of motherfuckers, I think. I may be the less happy of everybody, but I try, and I want to be, you know. So, that's cool. Welcome to another story time with LAK. This story is brought to you by not the pink cup, but the black coffee inside the pink cup. It is also brought to you by this clan, in which I am wholeheartedly affiliated and associated with. And if anybody has a problem with me wearing this big fucking feather in my goddamn hat, please come and fight me for the feather. I have no issues there. I am the fucking chief of my fucking clan. So, what's up? Anyway, welcome. Let's see, this needs to be over the eye more. And I like to roll. That's a little bit better. A little bit better. Anyway, thank you for joining us on this another special edition of Story Time with LAK. I'd like to tell you a story that happened to me and my father pertaining to I can't remember how old I was. I have to ask my dad, I guess, to know exactly, you know, because when you're a kid, but I would say I was in the years of 8 and 10, which I guess if I wanted to act like I knew it as a fact, I'd say 9. But to be honest with you, this happened probably between the ages of 8 and 10. So at this time in my life, my father was he was a premier financial advisor, and our residence was in the city of Fairbanks, Alaska. So that was like our residence at this time. We were not living subsistence at this time. My father, this was money up time, if that makes sense, you know. So my father was doing his thing like a chicken wing. But I had this dog. And I had him since he was a puppy, right? And I can't remember how old the dog was, but I'm 8. And so the dog can't be much older than 8, because I kind of remember it being a smaller dog, right? But I don't know if my folks maybe have had it technically before I was around. I'm not sure. Again, I'd have to ask. But this dog, this was my first dog, but it really wasn't my dog. It was my dad's dog, because no fucking dog's listening to an 8-year-old. And you know what I mean? But that's how I thought about it, is my dog. It was that dog that kept you out of trouble, you know. So it wasn't yours. You were its. But anyway, so my dog, he was a Chesapeake Bay Retriever, which is a fucking great dogs, by the way. And my dog's name was KAVIK. And KAVIK, the name KAVIK comes from a book, which all kids in Alaska in school systems have to read, which is fucking awesome. And I can't remember the name of the author, but I'm fairly sure it's the same man who wrote Gentle Ben about the bear. But anyway, KAVIK the Wolf Dog is a story about a dog. Is it Pulitzer Prize? It's like an award-winning book or something. Or maybe they just said, oh, written by Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Gentle Ben. I don't remember, but it's a great book. Everybody read it. Have your kids read it. It's awesome. It might be a little bit old yellerish. Like, not that they kill the dog, I don't think, but I'm saying maybe it's for kids who were more badass than kids are now. I really don't know. Right? Because people are fucking just appalled by Old Yeller, and they're fucking appalled by Bambi. And like, that wasn't even a debate when I was a child. It was just an understanding of life. Like, there was no debate about, you know, like Bambi. Like, anybody's mother could die. It doesn't have to be a hunter murdering them. Like, anybody's, you know what I mean? So it's just life. And these people, I don't know, people have changed. Shit gets, I don't know. I'm not going there. But anyway, so KAVIK, the wolf dog, he was my dog. And that motherfucker, I could tell stories about just KAVIK doing amazing things, and, you know, growling down fucking animals that wanted it. The dog was amazing. And you could have a whole short story about my dog named KAVIK, just like the fucking book KAVIK. Not exactly, because that dog did some crazy shit in the book. We'll have dog stories too. My grandfather, I have obviously two grandfathers, like most people, but one of my grandfathers, he had some fucking wicked dogs too, man. Anyway, so KAVIK, the wolf dog, in between the ages of 8 and 10, whenever that was, KAVIK, living in the outskirts of the city of Fairbanks, Alaska, got ran over by a vehicle. Hit. I don't know. We never saw it. He used to run away. My dad never believed in neutering his dogs. And so, 2 times a year, KAVIK would run away and go chase some poon, and get that lip rolled up. And get that lip rolled up. Any wild animal you see, to get that lip rolled up during the fall time, they're smelling that slip, baby. So, and KAVIK would always be gone for like between 2 and 4 or 5 days, and he would either come back or people usually would call. Like only once I remember him ever coming back. But people would find him because people are nice. People love their own dogs, and so they love your dog. And if your dog's not a mean dog, and they realize it's a family dog, they will, everybody still has their phone numbers in the city of Fairbanks. Everybody has a phone, and everybody has a phone numbers on their dog's ship. But so most of the time we would go get this dog like fucking 10, 15 miles away from our house. And, and he always went the same direction. But, I don't know. But he was fucking cool. Well, one time that motherfucker didn't come back for a long time. Somebody called and he had been hit. And they said, we think he's pretty hurt, but he seems cool. Well, we went and found him, and you could tell had been ran over, but he was, and you could tell he was not, he was a real spunky, lively dog. Real spunky motherfucker. And he wasn't very spunky. But he was like, oh, fuck, how y'all doing? So it was real sad. But he was okay, we thought. Well, come to find out, he wasn't thought. Like 2 days later, he couldn't move. He was like paralyzed, and we took him to a vet. And the vet said, "Oh, I think the vet fucking screwed us out of money for no reason too." And my dad is a hard ass motherfucker, and I know that he went against the way he was raised, for my, like my dad was raised way fucking hard, probably way harder than anybody should ever be raised. But he knew that, and so he, you know what I mean? So like anyway, the doctor, the vet dude, I think, he was like, well, we can perform this surgery, and it might not work, but I think it will. And of course, me being my 8-year-old self, who, this is like the only friend I ever had in my life, besides my dad, right, we had to save him. So my dad did that, and it was like a bunch of money, and like, I see now that was all done for me, and that was not done for reasonable reasons of reality. Right? Like, I see that now. So my dad totally was cool on that one. Unnecessary. That was unnecessary. He did that for me because I was a fucking kid. So that's good fucking fathering, I think. Anyway, so we get the dog the surgery, and like he's there for however long, like a while. We come back to see him like weeks later when they say we can take him home, and they say, now look, he has to stay really still or shit's gonna get fucked up. Well, the first thing the dog did when he saw me is he jumped up on his hind legs and he hugged me. And all the fucking, everybody who was a medical person went. And like literally 2 days later when we got him home, he was crippled. He was totally crippled from you can't see, but from the lower half of his body was just nothing. And his legs dragged like that. It was sad. Whew. But he didn't care. KAVIK didn't give a fuck. That motherfucker would bring you his thing to throw. And like, if you threw it, that motherfucker would take off running. His fucking back legs would just be like fucking... And like, it was sad to see. So, inevitably, my father tells me, look now, excuse me, And like, I already know this. I know this deep in my head. You know, because I seen Old Yeller. I ain't one of those motherfuckers that didn't fucking see Old Yeller. I can't put this on the fucking internet. So, we're getting pretty far in the story, my bad. So inevitably my dad says, look, this dog, you owe it to him, right? And I say, yeah, I know, you're right. So we're all on the same page. The dog don't give a fuck. He's fucking game. But excuse me. Man, you know, I had a lot of motherfuckers die in my life, but I never realized how much that fucking dog meant to me. God damn. Woo! Alright, sorry. LAK don't tell a lot of goddamn fucking stories, motherfuckers. So the dog has no quality of life. And so my father gets a different veterinarian who will come to our house and put the dog down, right? Because I tell him, like, we're not going to take him back to a vet office and kill him in a fucking metal table. Nah. So we have this old vet come, and we have this whole ceremony and all this thing, and he puts the dog to sleep. And it's November something, like the middle of November. But winter is fucking late coming. It's late. Like the river ain't even frozen yet. It's like November 11th. After the dog is put to sleep, I take the dog outside because it's pretty cold. Like, it's getting down to 32 degrees at night, but it's, you know, but the main channels in the rivers are not frozen. And then so somehow in the midst of this, my dad says, well, what are we going to do with the dog? And we didn't own snow machines at this time. We sold them to move to town. But my dad still had his boat, because you never get rid of your boat. My dad's a riverman. And I said, well, let's take the dog and bury him up at our place in the woods, right? And my granddad had a cabin that he built, and then like a mile, maybe 2 miles up the creek on the opposite side, me and my dad had a little house that we built, you know, and my granddad gave us that. He said, everything, you know, he told me that. He said, all of that is yours. So I said, let's go up there and bury our dog up there, because that was his place too, you know, that's where we all lived. And he said, okay. He said, the river's still open, let's try it. You know, and we should have just went to fucking like my uncle or something and said, hey, let's borrow your snow goes and we'll fucking go out there cross country, you know. But some of the marsh probably wouldn't have been frozen yet, but you would have made it much easier probably that way. But so my dad, being the fucking supportive person that he was, like the next day, because I tell him, if we're going to do, you know, he says, if we're going to do this, let's do it now. And I say, I think you fucking A, you're right. Because it's cold. There's snow on the ground. It's on. So we get a bunch of shit, and we head down, we get in we put the boat trailer on the fucking truck, and we take off to the best place we know to get in the river. So we get in the river, and my fucking, hey, Duke, my brother, Duke, that's his nickname, but you know who you are. I know you're not watching this, but he was there. He's like, y'all ain't going in the river, are you? And we knew we were being foolish, but my dad, you know, I didn't. I was too distraught, you know, but my dad was like, we're doing this for this boy, you know, it's his dog. So we go up this river in the fucking boat, and there's fucking ice sheets coming down and all kinds of shit. Now we're getting to the story. I should have started the story with, we're burying my dog. But it wouldn't have made any sense, because we went through a lot of effort. But this dog was like my fucking brother, my first brother ever, you know? So, we get up the Tanana River, like 15 miles, and we get to my granddad's creek, and boy, the water's low, but man, my granddad's creek is fed, and this is probably why he picked it, but it's fed by a lot of redwater creeks, which means it's high in tannins, which means it does thaw, or it does freeze later, you know, but it's also dangerous because in places it may not be frozen solid, so you have to know the trail, right? But so we get up there, and this fucking creek is like I mean, it's not this, because if I do my hands anymore you can't see it, but like this fucking creek, the channel is basically this much wider than the boat on either side. And my fucking like there's a little hump of a sandbar, because when the creek comes out, obviously the channel goes to one side and it flows. The river comes downriver like this, and then our creek comes into it, and where the creek meets it, it cuts almost upstream and then goes like this, right? So when you're going into the creek, you have to fade up and go like this to stay in the channel. Because if you just go straight across or whatever, like everybody who doesn't know shit does, that's all sandbar, right? Because the water slows, the water comes out, but then because this water's whooshing like this, whooshing, is that a word? There's almost like a back eddy. And so the water comes and it actually moves slightly upstream and then gets caught by the actual river and flows. And then, of course, all of this area, the water's slower. So the sand, the silt in the water falls, you know. Well, my dad actually did like a fucking circle in the river, right? And fucking was getting up. And we fucking, because even this part was like low, baby. It was like a... And we hit it. Boom. We jumped it. My father was the first person to ever run twin 25-horse Go Devil motors on his boat. All right? And a salesman for Go Devil saw that, and he sent the photos to Go Devil. And Go Devil fucking now makes that shit. And they won't make a twin 25-horse. They'll only make a twin 23-horse. But I will say this on the internet right now. Go Devil boat motors, you owe my motherfucking dad some goddamn money, motherfuckers. You owe him some shit, son. Because you're making a lot of money off something he fucking invented. He invented, and your salesman stole it. I saw that fucker take a fucking photo. And my dad was not thinking about it. You know what I mean? And fucking y'all stole that shit. You stole it. I know you did. I know it. Fucking hand to fucking God, I know you motherfuckers. You know? And it's sad because I like Go Devil. I would own one now, you know, but like I have a sore spot for you fuckers. Like you didn't even fucking, you can't even say like, wow, we had a really loyal customer who's been our fucking man forever and he did this and you didn't even ask him or talk to him or nothing. He would let you do it too. He would have let you fucking done it, but you didn't even ask. That's rude. Fucking rude. You can claim cutthroat businessman bullshit all you want, but like, this is America, baby. Fuck that. Man to man, eye to eye, handshake to handshake, cocksucker. Anyway. Okay. LAK goes through all the range of emotions in 15 seconds. I obviously have fucking problems. So we're making it up this motherfucking creek, right? And there's one place, man, there's one, and I don't know, like, I'm a kid, so I know my dad's fucking thought about this, excuse me. But about 2 miles before my granddad's cabin, there's a place in this creek where it's a long, sweeping bend, like this, right? And the creek is continuously trying. It's one of those places where it's trying, you know, but something stopped. Who knows? There's something going on there. But it's because water wants to go the path of least resistance. Well, in this creek, if I'm in the creek and I'm going upriver, upstream, it's a big long bend like this. And you have to hug the cut bank over there so close, and the sweepers are coming out, and like it is a wild ride, baby. And that's why my granddad picked that creek, because no normal fucking person in a boat's going up there. You gotta be wild and fucking badass and wide open. And like, if you have a boat with a steering wheel, you ain't gonna make it. You gotta have a tiller handle, baby. And even an airboat ain't gonna make it. You know, airboat might make it upstream, but you'll never make it back down, baby, because you can't fucking steer an airboat in a current going downstream. The only thing you can possibly do is go fast enough and power out of it, which never happens. Never happens. Keep your airboats in the Everglades, baby. It ain't made for fucking Alaska rivers. So this huge sweeping curve, we're hauling ass, and we can see this curve, and it is ice all the way across it, you know? And I look at my fucking dad, and he fucking... My dad drove with a tiller handle, standing up, and he had almost like a roll bar type thing, and he would hold that bar. That's how my dad fucking drove a boat, a Go Devil boat. And he had twin 25-horse Go Devils with one tiller handle and 2 throttles, and he synced them by sound. He had a tachometer, but you'd have to turn around and look at those. But you could sync them by sound, and you knew they were right because they'd go, well, it'd sound like one engine. And that, so, but man, that motherfucker couldn't fly, so it went, wah, so he's fucking, and I'm down. I'm like down in the fucking boat, and the fucking dead dog is in the boat who's frozen now. So the dead frozen dog's in the boat, and like a cooler with some food in it because we came from town. So and we got drinking water, you know, because we were supposed, you know, like we have, and guns. And so we hit this fucking ice, and we're trying to skid across it, you know, and the ice is curved, you know, like we have to go around a curve, and I'm fucking going, oh my god, what's going on here? And I look at my dad, and this motherfucker is fucking, we're on the ice now. He fucking ramped us up on the ice, and now we're sliding. And we're trying to go around this corner, right? And I see him, like, pick, because the Go Devil, it's air-cooled, right? So you don't have to have it in the water, if y'all don't know what it is. Y'all ever seen the boats in Thailand that's like a big V8 car motor with the straight shaft that comes direct drive with the, that's a Go Devil. That's what an American company calls Go Devil. But it's a fucking air-cooled fucking goddamn... well, in Thailand, they're fucking car engines, so they might have radiators and shit. They might bypass. I don't know what they do over there. I mean, I went to Thailand once and I saw them. They're badass. But that's what a Go Devil is. So he's fucking... Blah, and we're going around this curve, and to go, like, around this curve, kinda, he's fucking, like, picking up the motor and chopping it into the ice and, like a person would pole, you know, but he can only go like this with his motor, and he's like fucking working it, baby, and we're like skidding. We are drifting this fucking boat around a corner on the ice, and you can see, because the corner's not like a blind corner, it's just a curve, you know, it's just a curve, but you can see the other side of it, and there's fucking open water right there, and there's water as far as you can see. Like, this is the only spot. And, we fucking get, like, almost there, baby, and the boat stops. Like, it's like a fucking movie. Like a, I don't even know what kind of movie, right? But it's like one of those movies where it's just, like, you've seen that movie where you're like, ah! And it just stopped. And, like, you know, and, like, to me, everybody was still going, yo, yeah, you know, and then everything slid to a halt, and it stopped. And it was like, whew, well, now what? You know? And my dad was like, well, we'll push this motherfucker over to the water. Soon as we get out of the boat, the ice fucking breaks. And the fucking boat, and like, it's not like dangerous like it breaks. Like, we're not all fucking drowning. Because the water's not that deep. The fucking water is like maybe thigh deep. You know, maybe knee deep. But the ice fucking breaks. And the whatever ice, like, and you can feel that the whatever ice is under the boat has hit the bottom of the creek, like, because it's not deep. So the ice breaks, and you feel it just like stop, and like it's on the bottom, and like one of my feet went in, and I think both my dad's feet went in, and we were on opposite sides of the boat, and we like scrambled back into the boat real quick because it was like, holy shit, you know. But I remember, and I don't know what the temperature was, but I know I remember, plain as day, when I jumped into that boat, and I looked back over, and the boat was in the water, and the water was flowing out from under the ice, and the water surrounded that fucking boat, and basically in a blink of an eye, that water fucking froze. Boink! And it's an aluminum boat, so I don't know if that had something to do with it too, you know, like, what do they call that, radiative... You know, I mean, aluminum is good for displacing temperature, right? So your aluminum is colder than... How does that work? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, I took metallurgy, but to me that makes sense for some reason. Like, maybe if you had a wooden boat, it wouldn't have done that. But that water fucking rushed around that boat, and it basically flash froze. Oh, shit. So, here's fucking the situation now, right? So we're about 2 miles from my granddad's cabin. My granddad had medical problems and is not living at his cabin right now either. He's in Anchorage or somewhere. I don't even remember where he was, but he was like in a hospital, not doing exactly great. But he ended up being okay at that point until he died. But so my dad's like, well, okay, we're gonna walk up there. Well, nobody's been out here. There's no trails. Fucking, there's not even a moose trail around where we're looking, you know. But we know where the house is, and so I, as like a 9-year-old kid, my dad put my 80-pound dead frozen dog on my back with a, what do you call those things? Packboard, the metal for packing out moose meat. You know, we had a metal one, and then we had a military one, and when I worked for BLM, we had one for carrying pumps too. Packboard, we called it. So my dead frozen dog, my dad had tied to this packboard, and I carried it. And my dad carried a 5-gallon water cooler that he tied around his body, and he carried a small ice chest cooler, right? And he carried his gun. And we walked 2 miles in the fucking knee-deep fucking snow. Knee-deep to my father, probably waist-deep to my little ass. 2 miles to my grandfather's cabin. And we got to the cabin, everything is fine. I mean, like, everything is pretty much fine. We're tired and wore out. And the biggest problem when you're hiking like that in the cold is you can't overexert yourself, because if you get hot and sweaty, when you stop, you're going to freeze to death, you know. And so pace yourself is basically the idea, you know. You don't want to get hot and sweaty when it's fucking any kind of cold temperature outside, you know, because then you'll freeze and fucking die when you stop, you know. So we made it up to the cabin. Everything was fine. It's my granddad's cabin. You might as well be at fucking goddamn in Paris Hilton's fucking personal fucking whatever the fuck, right? When you're at my granddad's cabin, like, baby, he had everything for my grandmother. He made everything. Like, he had a well and running water and all that shit. And it's all off-grid shit. He had a toilet for her and everything. And, like, when she died, he took all that out, but we were fine. There's firewood cut and a fucking 55-gallon barrel wood stove in there. So we get there, everything's cool. We leave the dead dog outside. We go inside. My dad busts open his fucking cooler that had fucking, like, moose steaks in it and shit. Like, we had, like, we had fucking, like, potatoes and butter and moose steaks. And my dad, I remember, had, like, a fucking bottle of fucking wine. Like, we were fine. Except, you know, we're 28 miles from our vehicle, which we would like to get back to so we can then go back to the house where we live. But we're sitting there, and my dad cooked some food, and we're just, no big deal. And he says, well, look, the ground's too frozen. We're not going to be able to bury this motherfucker dog. We'll have to bury him in the refrigerator. Now, in Alaska, we dig holes in the ground about 4 feet down to permafrost, and then we make a lid for it out of styrofoam, and that's called a refrigerator. And during the summer months, if you come from town, or if you come from somewhere, or if you chop ice out of the river and you put it in that thing all summer long when it's even 90 degrees, that shit'll be frozen in the permafrost refrigerator. But it's the only hole that was already dug, and my dad said, well, look, we're gonna bury him in that refrigerator, because we don't have time to fucking dig a hole, you know. We gotta worry about we gotta walk out of here, you know. And it's like it's like 25 miles in the boat from the cabin to the nearest village, which is where I always lived, you know. Not at this moment, we didn't live there, but across country, it's maybe 15, 18 miles. But we had to walk that. You know, my dad was like, we're gonna have to walk out of here. And so my dad, he said, look, we're gonna bury the dog, we're gonna stay here until we eat all of our food, you know. And he had like a 5-pound thing of bacon. He said, when we get down to this bacon, I'm gonna fry it, and he had a loaf of bread, and he said, and he made sandwiches, you know, bacon sandwiches, and he said, when we get down to these, that's when we're leaving, You know, he said, because we're not carrying more than we have to carry. So that's cool. We also had my dad, because he was a stockbroker at that time, he had a Motorola bag phone, a satellite phone. He called my mom. He called my mom. He had to fucking like do a bunch of weird shit, but he called my mom and he told her what happened. And he said, we're fucked. It's probably going to take us, you know, 4 or 5 days to get back. Mainly because he just wanted to sit there and eat his food and drink his wine and then walk. So he said, you know, we're going to probably leave in 3 or 4 days. We'll walk out. It'll take a day to walk out. You know, it'll take like whatever it was, 14 hours to walk out without stopping. And, or whatever it was. It was a long time. And I was a kid, so it was even longer to me, you know. But it was probably actually more like, I mean, it was like 15 miles, so what is that, 8 hours of walking? I don't know, I'd have to ask my dad, but to me it was forever. But, so I'm getting ahead of myself in the story. So my mom is cool, we're cool, everything's cool. The next morning, we wake up, put the dog in the refrigerator, bury him. I cry like a fucking little kid, like I was doing fucking earlier for some stupid reason. I haven't thought about this in years. And then we hear an airplane. And I look, and you can see an airplane over there, and I know that, and we both, me and my dad both know he's at our boat. And my dad immediately thinks, oh fuck, this is not good. And I go, why, what's wrong? And he said, I don't know, man. He said, just don't wave at that plane, come in the fucking house, you know, and he put a bunch of fucking wood in the thing, and he said, hopefully they'll see that we're fine. I didn't get what he meant. Well, so whoever this was in this airplane, he called in the registration number of our boat and reported it. And then I guess nobody did anything past that. And immediately, the Alaska State Troopers, who are fucking dipshits, by the way, the Alaskan State Troopers fucking put out a goddamn, didn't even look for us or say anything or call my mom or do anything. They put out a report that because they got the registration and they got the name that it was registered to, which is my father. And then somehow I guess they knew I was with them. Oh, maybe they asked somebody, oh, did y'all see anybody in that boat? Yeah, that's so-and-so and his kid. I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden, literally that night at the 6 o'clock news, local man and his son are dead and missing. They didn't even say missing. They said missing and dead. Presumed dead. That's what it was. You know, and it was this whole big fucking thing. And so the next night, and my dad we are literally eating moose steak, Yukon Gold potatoes, and drinking red wine. I'm not drinking the wine, but my dad is. And we are in the Shangri-La of fucking homemade log fucking, you know, built cabins in Alaska, right? And my fucking dad calls my mom on the satellite phone and says, just, hey, we're doing good, we'll probably leave tomorrow, you know, or whatever, we're running out of food, we'll leave tomorrow. My mom says, you wouldn't fucking believe what's up. My mom tells my dad, it's all over the news. It's all over the news. They're like telling people our names and shit. All these motherfuckers, they're showing footage from the airplane of our boat, which does look kind of fucked. It does look bad, but it's not. I mean, from the air, it looked bad, but it's not. Anyway, it's this whole big deal, right? And like they had like a candlelight vigil at the school I went to. Not really, because nobody liked me, but like some people, I guess, were fucking like, it was a thing. They're like, oh, did you know LAK died? You know? And then my mom like had to call the newspaper because nobody would listen to her. And she's like, no, I just got off the phone with them. They're fine. And everybody's like, no, 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 they're dead. It was crazy. But so anyway, me and my father finally, like after 3 days of being out there, having a good time and ritualizing over our dead fucking dog, we get our bag of bacon sandwiches and our, whatever it was, 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons of water. And we both had a rifle. You know, and we weren't going to leave those, and we had all our shit together, and we fucking walked out of there, you know, and we walked 15 miles from my grandfather's cabin, which we'd done this trail on a snow machine, like we weren't lost, we knew what we were doing, but yeah, by this time it was like 27 below, the whole river had frozen, it only took like 3 days, and it went from whatever it was, you know, 30 degrees in the nighttime and it would freeze shit, and then in the daytime it would get to like maybe fucking 39, so shit didn't really want to freeze, or 40, and then 3 days it was like fucking 30 below, you know, and everything was frozen and the fucking world was iced over, you know, and it took us however many hours, I don't remember, but me and my dad, we fucking walked out of that motherfucker, you know, and every couple hours we'd stop and we'd eat we call them foldovers, you know, one piece of bread, put some bacon on there, maybe a little mayonnaise. I don't think we had any mayonnaise, you know. and then fold it over. But we had a whole loaf of bread worth of foldovers with fucking bacon in them. You know, and fucking whatever. Every couple hours we'd stop, we'd look around, we'd eat one, talk and bullshit, and say, oh, how pretty, how beautiful is this? You know, it's quiet, no snow machine, nothing. And then, you know, I went back to school one day and everybody was like, aren't you fucking dead? And I was like, yeah, bro, we're all fucking dead. So anyway, look. I hope you stayed with me on this story. I hope I didn't ramble too long. LAK wants to incorporate story time into his channel. What's my channel about? I'm not sure. It's about custom action figures and collecting different things that I enjoy, which, whether it's Phantom NECA action figures or vintage Playmobil or stupid pink cups that are unusually large, so they hold a lot of coffee. But you know, there's a lot more to all of us in this community than just these toys, you know. But I appreciate everybody, and everybody's got a story, and everybody has a fucking life, and I want everybody to know this. If it's one thing I can truly, honestly tell you, everyone, look, all of us humans, we are all hair on the back of the sentient being. And through us does the sentient being feel and know all things. And that, my friends, is absolute proof that we are all one. So all this fucking bullshitting and fighting and bickering that people think is against another group of people or somebody else, it's really just against yourself. It's really just you in another time and in another dimension with a different yet parallel thought. That's all it is. So, let's just try to understand one another. Let's try to listen. That's all. That's all it takes. I don't want to say walk a mile in their shoes or whatever, because, you know, I feel like that's inaccurate. It's not a mile in their shoes. It's still a mile in your shoes. It's just a different point in your life. And if you're home or anywhere you are and you're feeling sad, or you think that you're the only person who feels this way, know that it's my belief, and I really believe it, that you're not alone. We've all felt that way. We've all felt that way. No matter what. No matter what. Know that you ain't alone. No matter what you think you've been through that nobody else can understand, know that deep down, there are people that do. So don't feel alone. You know, we are all one. We are all hair on the back of the sentient being, and only through us does the sentient being know and experience all things. This has been General LAK Sivrak. I hope you enjoyed story time. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you're new to the channel, it's not always this heavy. We talk about fucking toys and shit. But hey, that ain't fucking all the world is. You know? Gilster37, you're awesome. I hope you're doing well. All my other good friends out there, you all know who you are. Appreciate y'all. This is General LAK Sivrak, signing off.